All right, folks, good evening. Hi again, Anthony Cosiolo, Dean of the School of Information here at Pratt. Thank you so much for joining us this evening to learn about our school and our programs that we offer here. Um, so just a little bit about our agenda you can find here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a bit about our school, about a bit about our programs. We'll go ahead and do Q&A, both from folks in the room and for folks on Zoom. If you do have a question on Zoom, you can also go ahead and just ask at any time, and our Associate Director, Meredith Broll, will go ahead and answer it. Um, we do have some students from the program in the room as well, and they can, if you have questions about like what it's like to be a student, we can also, we have folks there who can answer that. We'll go on a tour of the facility, and then of course we're happy to stick around as long as people have questions. So just a little bit about the School of Information. We are indeed the oldest information school in North America. We trace our roots back to 1890 when the founder of Pratt Institute, Charles Pratt, who you see here, created not only the School of Information, but he also created a series of libraries that were available to the public here in Brooklyn. And so he really needed a way to train people to work in those libraries, and hence the library school was born. We spent most of our life on the Brooklyn campus, which is in the Clinton Hill neighborhood, and we moved here in 2002. I would say, our history is very much in the world of library and information science, but we do all kinds of additional stuff besides that these days. Such as our information experience design program and our data analytics program and our museum studies program. We're very much motivated by our vision and mission. This is our vision statement, as well as our mission statement. And one of the things you'll find with our mission statement, it's really we really look to bring information technology in connection with art, culture, and design. So we tend to be a bit more of a kind of an arts and culture kind of information school, where some other schools might be a little more like big science or big data, where we tend to be a little bit more connected with that area. And you see that play out in things like, the projects we do in classes, we'll work with like museums and that sort of thing. So that's our mission statement. In terms of who we are an all graduate school. We have about 80 faculty. Of those, about 15 of them are full-time faculty, and these are primarily researchers, scholars, and then about 65 or so are part-time faculty. And these are people who are primarily teaching at night. They have jobs during the day, such as UX designer, UX researcher, librarian, archivist, museum professional, and they'll come here to teach at night. So really we have a super busy, what I'll mention here, a really super busy evening set of evening classes available. This is really a great option for people who want to go to school part-time. School of Information is definitely a great place for people who want to be part-time, but we also, if you want to be full-time, we're a great place as well. So we do courses starting at 11:30 in the morning, and we have courses at 3 and again at 6:30. So you want to come full-time? Great. You want to come part-time? Great. um, and just a little bit about us, though, we are primarily in person. So if you're interested in an online school or online courses, that is not us. We, in fact, never even did an online class until COVID. And then we of course did everything online during COVID as everyone else did, but we are really back, we're 99% back in person. So I think at this point we have maybe one or two classes that are online. So really, if and it's really, we do things in person because we really do value excellence in face-to-face teaching. Like face-to-face community. And so those are all reasons that we are really in an in-person program. We love being able to do stuff here in New York City, collaborate, and so it's kind of the whole package. You get to live and go to school and in New York City. How many? I think a lot of folks here tonight are interested in our library and information science program. Who's interested here in the room in our library and information science program? All right, cool. Most people. All right, so I'll give you a quick rundown of that program, and then I'll go ahead and tell you also about some of our other programs. But just a bit about our library and information science program. It is indeed our oldest program. Its roots really trace back to 1890. It is the oldest library and information science program really in North America, possibly the world. I mean, we haven't quite looked at all that, how it factors in with the world. But it is one of six programs that were first accredited by the American Library Association back in 1924, and we did have our accreditation extended to 2031. So we've been going well over 100 years with accreditation. And as you can imagine by the name of this program, this is primarily about teaching folks to be librarians, archivists, other kinds of information professionals who are kind of out there collecting information, managing it, preserving it, providing access to it, creating services kind of around information for whatever community that might be, whether that's an academic community, a public, you name it. We kind of do it. This program is typically completed by students in 2 years. It's a 36 credit program. Typically, people will do three courses in the fall, three in the spring, three in the fall, three in the spring, and then they're done with the program. These are the four courses that everyone in this program takes. They get into things that every librarian or archivist needs to know, such as around reference, instruction, knowledge organization, IT. But then from there, there's a wide range of electives you can take. Um, and to help people plan out all how they're going to use the rest of their time in the program, we do offer advanced certificates. These are almost like minors, and they're formal programs that you can take, and they kind of live within the 36 credit master's degree. So you can say, you can do your MLLIS and say the archive certificate, and that 18 credit certificate lives within the 36 credit certificate. And or any of these other certificates that you see here, when you graduate from the school, you get both the degree and the certificate. And yeah, so you can see those areas we have here. We also do have program concentrations listed on our website, and these are really to help people, who might not be doing a certificate, help them kind of plan out what they might want to do course-wise, career-wise, like what courses they could take to get what kinds of job titles. And you can see the list right there. We also do offer a dual degree program for folks who really want to get deep into the world of both art history and library and information science. And we do have a great community of alums who are really these kind of expert art librarians. And this program is typically completed in 3 years. It's a 60 credit program, and it's split evenly between courses here at the School of Information and courses in the Department of History of Art and Design, which is primarily based on the Brooklyn campus. And yeah, that's typically completed in 3 years. In terms of job titles, we see, titles such as this, nothing surprising here, librarian, archivist, digital archivist, digital initiatives, librarian, those sorts of job titles. In terms of organizations, we do see organizations such as these, a lot of museums, colleges, public libraries, publishing, some companies, artist studios, and foundations, as well as nonprofits. In general, what we find from our graduates is they're generally happy with the program. For example, our graduates this past May, 57 people, which is pretty much all of our LIS graduates, believe that the program was a quality program that prepared them to work in their profession. So that's good. We're always happy to see that our graduates are happy with the program. Oops, I just totally jumped up way ahead in my slide deck. Sorry about that. All right, so that's the quick rundown of our library and information science program. Is anyone here interested in our data analytics and visualization program? Oh, okay, we have one right here. All right, so I will give you a quick rundown on that program. So this is one of our newer programs. It was created in 2016 was its first cohort. So it's nearing its 10-year anniversary. And this is a program that where the library and information science program is really about collecting information, managing it, helping others use it. This program, I would say, is about using information, right? You're using data to do things with it. And primarily what you're doing with it is, you're doing analysis, visualization, map making. This program does not require, you don't need to come from any particular background, no coding or design background. And it is a multidisciplinary program. It's taking in statistics, computer programming, design, and usability research. This program, like the other one I mentioned, is a 36 credit program typically completed in 2 years. Three courses in the fall, three in the spring, three in the fall, and three in the spring. And in the program, students will do statistics, information visualization, computer programming with Python, and then there's a wide range of electives you can take. These are pretty much the electives you can take. We ask students to do an additional course in data analysis, additional course in data visualization, an additional course in data UX, and then there's 15 open electives, which are either info courses or really any other graduate program at Pratt is fine. So I would say some of the strengths in this program, we have some really great folks in the GIS area. So if you want to bring in a spatial dimension into your data analysis, we're particularly strong in that area. So like for example, we have a course called Spatial Statistics where students work on bringing in statistics into mappings, which turns out to be super useful for a wide variety of industries. You in this program, you can do a certificate within the 36 credit degree in these areas you see here, so such as in DH, user experience, and spatial analysis. And this is a much smaller program. In 2025, this past May, we had 12 graduates. And in general, they're also very happy with the program in terms of the quality, the curriculum, and as well as they would recommend it to a friend, family member, or colleague. So again, we're always happy to see that. In terms of students where they go off and work after they complete this program, they typically have job titles such as these, and they tend to work in more of a mix of different kinds of organizations, some nonprofit, some for profit. So it's a little bit more of a mix where with the library and information science program, it's primarily kind of the non-government, the kind of nonprofit government sector. So that is the quick rundown. Do we have any people here interested in the information experience design program? All right, I see two hands here. All right. Is there anyone on Zoom who is interested in it? I'm assuming okay, we got some Zoom interest. Great. Thank you folks on Zoom. Yeah, so this is our program. The Information Experience Design program teaches folks to be UX designers, UX researchers, and it also has quite a bit in the area of around kind of usability testing and kind of research and evaluation of interfaces. And this is this is kind of not a boot camp. So, there's a lot of these boot camps that have kind of popped up over the last, couple years. It's like, oh, become a UX designer in, 6 weeks. This I would say is not that. This is, like the other programs, is a 2-year intensive master's program. And you will learn all the knowledge and skills of being a UX designer or UX researcher, but you're really going to also um, encounter creative, critical, and ethical challenges, just like kind of our other graduate programs. So yeah, it's a pretty great program. It's got a huge number. We've created a huge number of courses for it over the last few years. This one, just like the other ones, is a 36 credit degree completed typically in 2 years. In that first set of required courses, people do courses in information architecture, usability, IT. We do require everyone to do a course in ethics and social responsibility, which is something we've found is increasingly important these days with the rise of the computing industry here in New York. So some options there. And then from there, you have kind of a wide range of electives that you could take. We're always creating new ones, as you can see here. So let me think of one that I might want to talk about. Which one is the newest one? I would say some are like super, super practical, but some of them are a little bit out there. So I would say UX design systems, that would be a super practical one, which has been quite popular. So it's really about designing not just the UX for a single product, but it's also it's thinking about how do you design the UX for an entire company or an entire product line, and spreading your kind of your framework much more widely than like a single product, so that when you use a particular um, like when you use an Apple interface, they're all you kind of you're on an Apple interface. But then some of the ones that I would say a little more out there, like we have this course called Animals in Experience Design, where it's really about designing the user interface for animals when they interact with computers. You're like, why would that ever happen? Well, it turns out that, there's a lot of sensor technologies and so forth that we can use computers and digital tools to help support the environment, support the animals in the environment, support the ecology. And, there's a lot of great opportunities to use digital technology to help support wildlife. And so, we have courses and things like that as well. So sustainable interaction design. So lots of super like practical things, but also things that might be a little bit, kind of a little bit more out there in terms of where this program can take you. Um, this program does have kind of two areas of focus. So in the program, you'll do both design and you'll do research and evaluation. But what we've found over the years is that students will find out as they're doing the program that they're actually better at one than the other. They're actually more of a designer or they're actually more of a research and evaluation person. And we do actually encourage that specialization and say, go for it, be the, put all your effort into design or put all your effort into research and evaluation and design your portfolio with that focus in mind. So those are really the two areas, and we do encourage that level of specialization. You'll do both of them, but at the end of the day, when you hit the job market, you're going to be kind of pitching yourself as one of these two kinds of people. In terms of internships, a lot of folks in this program intern, especially in their first summer, as well as in their entire second year. Much more internships in the commercial sector, startups, a lot of startups, and then also some big tech, some financial services. In terms of jobs that people get, you can see some of the job titles that we've gotten over the last few years. So, UX designer, that kind of thing. And then some of the employers, we do definitely see a mix of tech and financial services, for sure. And definitely, financial services is a big employer here in New York. So we have seen a lot of uptick in that area, such as at like JP Morgan Chase and some of the other financial services firms. In terms of our graduates, so this past May we had 67 graduates. And as you can see here, they were all super satisfied with in general, 95% were satisfied with the quality of the program and also in terms of the curriculum. So, 94, 95, not everyone, but, quite, an overwhelming number of people. So that is the quick rundown on the museum, the information experience design program. Do we have anyone here interested in the museums and digital culture? We have a little bit.
Library and museums, or like add a museum component to library.
Gotcha. All right, yeah. So cool. Yes, I'll give you a quick rundown on our museums and digital culture program. So I would say, if you are interested in the library science program, you can definitely take all the kind of museum-ish classes as well. So, that's the great thing about these programs is that you can kind of it's like one set of courses and you can take them whichever ones you want, really. Um, but the Museum Studies program is really meant to be a program that prepares museum professionals and with a bit of a focus on digital technology and how it works with to enhance services and engage visitors. So it's kind of a techie museum studies program is kind of how I tend to think of it. In this program, it's typically completed in 2 years, and it is in the core curriculum, you'll get into issues around museum digital strategy, museum information management, such as cataloging cultural objects. And then from there, you have a wide range of electives you can take. Some of them were really designed especially for the museum studies program. Some of the other ones are kind of, were developed just for any of our other degrees as well. But for example, like we have a course called Audience Research and Evaluation, who's taught what they do in that course is they go to a museum and they study the users to inform the improvement of the museum, whether it's an exhibition or improve a service. This coming semester, it's being taught by really great professor Sarah DeYoung, who's the director of visitor experience at the Metropolitan Museum, and she's been teaching this course for a number of years. She had people running studies at the Brooklyn Museum during COVID, which now that I look back on it, I don't know if that was such a great idea, but they were, running studies out of the Brooklyn Museum even during COVID. But she just to say she's super committed. But yeah, lots of good stuff in the museum area. We also do this program we revised it a couple years ago. We really wanted to make sure we brought in the courses that are available on the Brooklyn campus. So in this program, you could also do courses from, say, the History of Art and Design program, the Fine Arts program, the Art and Design Education program. So if you want to do a little museum education, a little bit of history of art, you can definitely do that in this program. And yeah, there's some certificates you can do as well in this program. These are that live within the 36 credit degree, such as in UX, DH, and conservation and digital curation. I would also say that this program, just well, this program, but then also really in the school in general, we do a lot of stuff with museums. So just to give you a sense of, some of the museums that we work with on just like any given Sunday, in terms of doing usability projects or digital analytics projects. So definitely a huge amount of museum engagement in this program. In terms of graduates, this is the kind of graduates we see. So a lot of folks working in registrar, collection information, collection database. We don't have a ton of people. It's not a great program for like if you want to be a museum curator, I would say, just because those really require, in many cases, pretty advanced knowledge of like a domain, like an art history domain. But this is really going to be for a lot of those other functions that support the life of the museum, a lot of stuff around the collection, we've had some folks working in marketing, communications. So folks who are really super passionate about the tech in the museum, but less of a focus on, contemporary art or Renaissance art or, a particular kind of area of art history. In terms of the graduates, we had 6 graduates this past May, and they were all super happy with the faculty as well as the inclusive and welcoming environment. So we are happy to see that. We also do offer some standalone certificates. So these are mostly for people who already have a master's degree, but these are certificates you can do just on their own, but you typically need a master's degree to do them. Most people do these certificates within their master's degree at Pratt, but we do also allow people to, come, if they already have a master's degree, they can come and take one of these. Is anyone here interested in a standalone certificate or anyway, I don't think I saw anyone on the list, but there's a few. Does anyone want me to talk about any of these standalone certificates? If you're online, let me see what the chat says. Advanced certificate in archives from Christine. All right, so yeah, so the advanced certificate in archives. So this one is probably our one of our more popular certificates, and so this is an 18 credit certificate that is that you can do either within the library and information science degree or you can do it as a standalone. And this is pretty much the curriculum. This is our graduate catalog. And in this program, you do a core course on management of archives and special collections. This is kind of core archival theory in practice. You have to do a course in conservation and preservation. We do require everyone to do a kind of a techie archives course, just because we want to make sure people address things like digitization and born digital records. Those are in these 2 courses here, digital preservation or projects in digital archives. Then you can take 2 elective courses. We have some pretty interesting courses here, I would say, such as like in the area of like conservation lab, where students will make custom enclosures for archives and manuscripts. and lots of interesting stuff going on here. And then we do have a field work requirement where you can either take a zero credit internship in the summer or have a do a internship for credit during the fall and spring semester. The one thing I will say is, though, this program is actually undergoing a revision, and so there's going to be we anticipate some changes for the fall, but the field work is becoming elective. So I anticipate that will be the case in the fall. But it pretty much has to go through a curriculum review process, and it's gotten through like a couple stages, but there's a few more stages. But yeah, this is pretty much the advanced certificate in archives. I would say it is very much aligned with the Society of American Archivists. So just so you know what that is, the Society of American Archivists is kind of the kind of the parent organization that archival professionals belong to, and we've aligned our program with their guidelines for graduate programs and archival studies. So that's pretty much where a lot of our thinking comes from. Cool. So anyways, any other certificates? Yes.
I have a question about the archive certificate, but
Yeah.
can also come back.
Um, you know, yeah, let's save it for the Q&A, and then I can pass you the mic so our folks on Zoom can hear. Um, so yeah, so that is the quick rundown on our programs. Scholarships, definitely we do offer scholarships. When you apply, you're automatically considered for a scholarship. There's no separate application. And if you're admitted, it is included, your scholarship is included in your admissions letter, so you find out right away. And scholarships can cover up to 50% of the cost of tuition, so they can be pretty significant. And the nice thing about them is they do auto renew for their second year. So if you get a particular scholarship in year one, you automatically get it in year two. We also do offer a fellowship program. And the way that these are 9-month fellowships that you apply for in the end of your first year, and you do them all of your second year, and you get a scholarship for them. It's about an $8,000 scholarship, and these are the projects we had running last year are running this year. And actually, it says 19 fellowships. I actually think we have 22 running right now. And so some of these fellowship sites we have multiple fellows. And and in these scholarships, people do a whole assortment of different kinds of work, such as we have many archives ones. We have ones with doing digital product design with the Metropolitan Museum, data analysis with the Metropolitan Museum, um, doing stuff with the MoMA archives and doing MoMA's product design. So these are really, we're talking websites really, and other pretty, important web properties, I would say, quite honestly. We're doing stuff with big museums, small community organizations, since we wanted to expand. We swing some years. Sometimes we're super Brooklyn centric and sometimes we're super Manhattan centric. So I think we've kind of swung back to Manhattan. But when I was doing this info session last year, we had a lot of Brooklyn going on. Um, but yeah, I think they're super great. It's basically kind of like a paid internship program, although it's a little bit better than that, I think, because people, we kind of set out the project in advance, and um, people feel it's a bit nicer to be called a fellow also, I have to say. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. And then, we have, of course, many more, all these institutions all run their own internships and other programs and jobs and so forth. So these are just something that's available just to School of Information students, paid for by donors to the school, donors to Pratt. And financial aid, we do offer financial aid. We do have a student financial services rep who's based here in the building on the seventh floor. Her name's Sonia Chestnut. And you can certainly, if you have any questions about that, that's going to be for things like federal financial aid, you can reach out to them. In terms of, we do try to do some international study too. We don't have a ton of international, but the School of Information, but Pratt does have a pretty vibrant international study arm. But we have been doing some things in the last few years in Rome, and we are trying to do something in Venice this summer. So definitely, if you're interested in some international study, we do plan to have that. And these are going to be a lot of our international study, I would say, is going to be, it's not tourism, it's really like a lot of it's geared for the library and archives program, and you're kind of going behind the scenes talking to like museum and library and archives professionals about how they're dealing with any assortment of different things. So it's not, tourism really. It's more of you're kind of getting backstage access to how these cultural institutions operate. So definitely great opportunity. We have our one of our Italian faculty teaches that course. So she's native to the country and, has great connections out there and is always working on it. I would say also you know, last bit before we open up for questions, we are based here at the Manhattan Center, which is like super convenient to everything New York has to offer. But we also, pretty much as a School of Information student, you do have like full access to the Brooklyn campus, which is more of a kind of a typical college environment with like freestanding buildings and trees and walkways and all that, a gym, all that kind of stuff. So definitely, you can, if you're in Brooklyn, you can certainly take advantage of all that. Um, but you also never really have to go there as well. So you can, all of our classes are here. Actually, I take it back. We usually do our orientation on the Brooklyn campus, but other than that 1 day a year, you kind of never have to go to the Brooklyn campus. Um, in terms of application deadlines, so we did just pass we do take a small class in the spring semester. That's for classes starting January 26th. The deadline for that was October 1st. So some of those applications might still be open, except for IXD, which is closed, right? Are they all closed, Meredith?
Natalie said we extended to October 10th.
Oh, October 10th. Okay. So we extended it to October 10th because I think we had some snags with our application system. So still open, but yeah, definitely if you're interested in coming this spring, you have a couple days. So definitely get those applications in. If you are interested in the fall, you're definitely nice and early for that. Our priority deadline is January 5th. Those are for classes that are going to begin on August 24th, 2026. When we say priority deadline, really what it means is that it means you get priority for all the scholarships. And we likely will not close the application right then, but the application could conceivably close anytime, um, after January 5th. So in some cases, like the IXD program tends to be pretty popular and it is often closing in January or February. Um, yeah, definitely to apply, it's pretty easy, pratt.edu/apply. You do need 2 letters of reference, a statement of intent, unofficial transcripts from all colleges you attended, and you don't need a GRE. So unofficial transcripts, what that really is if you can just like PDF what your college has as your transcript, that's fine for the application process. If you do decide to actually enroll in the school, we will require official transcripts. But for just the application stage, we're fine with unofficial transcripts. Letters of reference, definitely, we're pretty flexible on who those come from. As someone who it could be a professor, it could be a work colleague, a boss. That's all great. As long as it's not a family member. Yeah, I have my husband. I got one like that. I was like, no, that's not okay. But um, we're pretty flexible in that. So yeah, at this point, I'm happy to take questions from the room. Yes. And I'm going to pass this mic just so our friends on Zoom can hear us.
So my one question is I noticed you mentioned internships and what other programs. Is there internships to the data analytics and visualization program as well?
Yes, for sure. So our data program has our fellowships. We do have fellowships. We have a data fellowship with the Metropolitan Museum, and then there are all kinds of other internships as well. We do like one that we work a lot with is the Pratt Center for Community Development. They are kind of a community organizing, kind of community rights organization that kind of operates in Brooklyn. We've done fellowships with all assortment of different organizations. We've done fellowships with the UN. We've done fellowships with the mayor's office. So we are always creating new kind of fellowships and internships for the IXD program for sure. Lots of good stuff in the GIS area, I would say. So, mapping and all that is pretty good. Other questions? Yeah, there you go.
So my question's about the dual program. Would you be making two applications, one to the School of Information and one to the other school for the art history degree?
Yeah, so it's one application, and but in that application you want to make sure you address both components. Um, Make sure why library science, why art history. Especially the art history program, they can be pretty strict, and they really want to. With that program, you do have to do a thesis, like an original work of scholarship in art history. So they do definitely want to kind of have a sense of like where you might be going thesis wise, and make sure they have the proper advisors for you in that area. So, but yeah, it's one application, but you do want to like, what is your art history interest? What is your interest with library science? All in that one application.
And then just as a kind of quick follow-up, would they want a foreign language reading ability?
I don't believe they do. Meredith, do you remember? Does the dual degree? They don't require foreign language, do they?
Oh, no.
No.
Thanks.
Other questions? Yes.
I was wondering, if it's at all common or even like allowed to apply for multiple programs.
Um, yeah, let me, I was realizing I'm gonna switch our camera over to the other one so folks can see me walking around here. So I would say it's generally discouraged. And the reason is it creates a kind of a sense of you don't know what you want to do. Because you're kind of you really want to figure out what is right for you and what addresses what you want to do and put your best effort behind that. Multiple applications to different programs kind of sends a message that you're not quite sure what you want to do. And so then it raises questions for kind of everyone reviewing the application. So I would definitely do your homework and figure out which one is going to be right for you and based on what you want to do and what your career goals are, and then apply for that and put your best effort behind that. But yeah, definitely just one application at Pratt. But you can apply to other schools too, right? So um,
Yeah, so I had a question about just quickly about electives and then the internship track. So you mentioned that in the archives advanced certificate, the internship track like might be changing slightly. I'm wondering if you could just speak about sort of what that is and maybe how you suspect it might operate. And then electives, just to clarify, any electives can be taken from within the School of Information. So for example, like the MLIS electives don't need to be courses that necessarily coordinate with the MLIS program. It can be things in like data viz and UX.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely. Yeah. So the LIS program is our most flexible. It's pretty much it's 12 credits and four of those are the required, and then 8 of them are elective. And those 8 electives, as long as it's an info class, you're fine. So you could do things that are very data viz, and that's perfectly fine. In the LIS program, you can do one course outside of the School of Information. So if there's something in another program at Pratt, a graduate course, you can do that. I would say for the archive certificate, so there's a change that's underway that's under the review process. And what it's going to do is it's going to our required courses are shifting slightly. So they're getting kind of some new names. So our course management of archives and special collections is going to be renamed Archival Theory and Practice. But the course is actually it's and some of the content in that course is going to shift to a new course called Info 629. Archival outreach, access, and advocacy. So a lot of the stuff around working with users is going to move out of that course into a new one. Where we have a course called Archival Appraisal, Acquisition, and Use, which is going to change to just Archival Appraisal and Acquisition. And that whole body of literature about archives appraisal is just going to be focused in on there. So it's a lot of the field work is going to become there. Pretty much field work happens all throughout the archives program. So we do practical projects all the time. We process collections in the classroom. So we pretty much feel like we do our field work in the classroom. So we're not going to require an internship any longer. People can, they can still sign up to do an internship course, but they don't have to because they are already getting the field work in the courses themselves. So we're pretty happy about the change. It's just got a few more hoops to go through, but we fully expect it will be in place for the fall. But yeah, it's going to be a good change. We're also always creating new electives for the archives program. So we just regularized a course called Archives and Art Making, where it's both about bringing artists into archives to make art, but also making art out of archives. So it's pretty innovative. It's one of those courses that would really only happen at a place like Pratt. What's the other new one we created? We just created another new one. I'm totally blanking on it, but we're always doing quite a lot in this area to make it really fresh and our lead faculty in the archives area, Professor Kathy Carbone, she leads a lot. She's really been leading the charge. We hired her a few years ago from UCLA, and they were very depressed to lose her. So, um, but yeah, it's their loss is our gain. So, other questions?
I was just wondering if there are like research opportunities with faculty.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a ton of research opportunities with faculty. We have a really vigorous graduate assistant program, and a lot of our graduate assistant money goes to students working with faculty on research projects. Um, as I mentioned, our full-time faculty, they all hold doctorate degrees. We have about 15 of them, and they are always doing research, writing publications. So we do have a lot of students who are like on publications, on presentations. We post a lot of those in our newsletter. I know we have even this newsletter I'm sending out on Monday, we have a bunch of new publication students have been involved in. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that, definitely if you're interested in the research dimension, we definitely have that going on. Which can be, if you're interested in the library area, having publications could be really good, especially if you want to work in like a tenure track librarian job, and a lot of colleges have that. Getting some of that kind of stuff on your resume is going to be super advantageous, I would say. So yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities. Yes.
I was wondering about the certificates and the process. I've seen that some of them require, I think, an additional application. And is that something that you would do when applying to the general masters, or like you get accepted, then you do the certificate and just certificates along with the main masters and how that all works out?
Yeah, good question. So, for the certificates, you don't, when you apply to your degree, you don't need to say anything about the certificate. You just like, if you're interested in the library and information science program, you apply for that. And then once you're in the degree, you declare your intent to complete a certificate. That's just a form on our website. And we kind of tack that onto your kind of degree progress. So yeah, you know, yeah. So yeah, you don't have to even mention the certificates at the application stage. Any other questions? All right. Is there any questions from Zoom? Sometimes we get some good Zoom questions. Meredith has been watching the chat. Meredith, do you have any questions that you think we should address?
and pretty fast, so maybe, yeah.
Also, I want to mention we have two current students in the room. Over, I guess, on the left-hand side. So Melissa is graduating the MDC program this semester. So she'd be happy to talk to you about any questions you have about that. So now or during the tour. And then Rohini is in the back and she's in the IXT program. But if you want to learn about the student experience and hear directly from a student, they're here. So I wanted to start with that. Let's see. I'm not sure what. Let's see. Anything standing out to you, Anthony?
I feel like a lot of these we touched on it. If you're on Zoom and you feel like you didn't have your question answered, feel free to pipe in on the chat right now. So Sophie just said, can any of the IXT students discuss some of the projects they worked on in school? All right, come on down. All right, yeah, come to the podium.
Okay. So, there are a lot of projects that keeps going on in each of the courses that you enroll into. Some of them are hypothetical projects, some of them are client-based, and let me talk about the client-based projects particularly. So when I was in my first semester, I worked on a usability testing project where we went over the Met Museum website and particularly one user flow, and then um, we were looking at what were the user pain points, and we redesigned that workflow. And all of these suggestions were then taken to the Met Museum, and then they would decide if they want to implement it or not. And in the same usability theory class, we had a client project where there was this client who came up to us and said that they wanted their site to go through usability testing. So we reached out to their users, took user interviews, and based on those insights that were generated, we redesigned their entire website and presented it to the clients. And then usually how it goes is that they give you feedback and then you incorporate it and then give a final deliverable. And currently, again, I am enrolled in a course which is called Practical Ethnography, and the professor has a tie-up with Toyota as a client. So we're doing ethnographic research for one of the new projects that Toyota is working for. And right now it's in the phase of, just scoping in what kind of problem statements do we need to take and how do we narrow down the challenge that we want to solve. And then there's another course that's called Projects in IXT, which again, there are a couple of clients that are onboarded for that course as well. And then students work in groups to address whatever challenges that client comes up with. So there's a lot of opportunities like that. And apart from that, just quickly to touch upon some of the hypothetical projects, there are courses about mobile design and also digital product design. So in courses like this, you do 0 to 1 projects. So you pick a niche topic and then you decide what kind of challenge you want to address in that particular topic. And then you narrow down what kind of users do you want to target, and then go through the whole interview phase, generate insights, create a draft of the interface that you want to probably create like a 0 to 1 like MVP, like the minimum viable product. You design that, and then you test it with the users, again generating insights from the user data, and then finish your final interface of that product. And we did that again. Like, I was enrolled in that course and it was superb. The professor, Julie, she was pretty amazing. And it's nice because you get to work with professors, and it's not like you're working in silos, you're working in a team. Everybody here has different experiences, they come from different backgrounds, so you learn from all of the different skill sets. And professors are always there to guide you through every step, so you don't feel lost. And even if you mess up, you can always like go back and fix your mistakes. So that's always cool. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Rohini. Yeah, so Rohini raised a great point, which is about client projects. We do a lot of client projects, especially in the IXD program. But even in other programs we do as well. So definitely one website I would encourage you, if you're interested in the IXD program, is definitely check out what's called the Pratt DX Center. This is kind of the arm of the school which goes out there and finds clients for projects. And so you can actually find the kinds of projects and that students have worked on. So when you see like these case studies around like, oh, like a content strategy or an accessibility study, these are all pretty much done in student, like by students in classes. So definitely check it out and you'll get a sense of all the various clients and so forth that are part of that. Cool. So Meredith, are you seeing other chat stuff that we should talk about?
I think that a good question is probably, I saw a good one that was about what makes a good letter of intent for the programs. Did we talk about that?
We did not.
Do you not want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, what makes a good letter? Why don't you talk about that?
I was
Yeah,
going.
okay, go for it.
So this is a good question because it's like the most important piece of the application. So, we're very transparent. There's no guessing. If you email me, I'm happy to send like pretty much everything that we're looking for. Um, but statement of purpose is really where it's at. So we want to know um, something like really in a way kind of personal about you. We don't want like the rundown of your resume. We don't want like a cover letter that like bolds every single internship you've had and like what percent you raised the download rate. Like that's not what we're looking for. So really, what brings you something personal that maybe brings you to this field. That's easier usually for like an LIS student maybe or an MDC student. It's usually a little bit of a different path for like a DAB student or an IXD student. But something about you that leads you here and how your past informs right now where you are. And then thinking about like, what are the big threads that runs through the school is like, how do we make information accessible and just, ethics and sharing information and that ethics piece not just important in IXD but through all of the programs. So how might you use this degree to assist in like bettering maybe a social issue that's important to you, whether you end up doing that or not, that's going to be a piece of your education. So working in nonprofits and cultural institutions, but also, for like IXD, it's like accessibility, sustainability, what kinds of things can you touch on that relate to your background? So in that, the next question I get a lot is what types of like backgrounds are we looking for? So we love a background that's like different. You don't have to be already working, in a museum. You don't already have to be a UX designer. We love like the biology student that comes to IXD and it's like what or something just completely unrelated. Like that's such an interesting perspective and that's actually like something that's seen as a positive. If you do have a related background, it's like thinking about what brings you here, not just like the obvious, but maybe something you can tell us it's a little bit different. And then finally you want to kind of end with what resources and things at Pratt you're going to engage with that's related to what those goals are. So little research on the website, right? Look around a little bit and discouraged to say things like, I want to work at Google, just because we're not really looking, we're looking more non-commercial, at least in this moment. So you can share different perspectives in the classroom and all of that.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Meredith, for that. As you could tell, Meredith is deep into those statements of intent. So she's got a better sense than I do, I have to say. So thank you for that. All right. Do we have any other questions before we go on our nifty tour? Going once, going twice. All right. So we'll go ahead and go on a brief tour of the facility. And if you're if you have further questions, I'm always happy to answer those. If you're on Zoom, it's probably best to email your question just because it might be a bit awkward to ask on Zoom. But if anything you didn't, have answered, feel free to reach out to me. You see my email there on the slide. You can also Google me and you'll find me. And also, if you're on Zoom, you can join us. I'm going to bring my phone, and so you'll see the space through my phone, which is not great, but if it's better than nothing. And if you are in New York at some point in the near future, we can certainly give you a tour. So yeah, so what we're going to go ahead and do is if you are interested in the IXD program, you're going to go with Meredith for sure. So Meredith is over there. But if you are any other program, you're going to come with me. And she can, if you're interested in DAV, Meredith will take you too. Like, so,
I'm gonna take Rohini with us.
yes.
So that's why she'll get that IXD.
Now, if you are also on this side of the pillar, you're going to go with Meredith. But if you are on this side of the pillar, you're going to go with me. Except if you're interested in IXD and DAV, you're going with Meredith anyways. Does that make sense, right? All right, so come with me.
The stuff going on that tour, and so she's the MVP student, but the summer she had a bedtime syndrome to the MSC, so trust to discuss with her.
Yes, so we do have a student with us who can tell you all kinds of good stuff about what she was up to. So give me 1 second here to log into my Zoom on my phone. Let's see here. This will just take me a second.
Everyone on the side of her.
So Meredith, which floor are you starting bottom or where are you going?
What did we do last time?
I don't know. We always mess up.
We'll start on the top. I'll start on
Okay.
7.
All right, I'll stay down here. All right.
Okay.
One more second here.
LIS, I can do LIS. I'm advising for that program, so don't be scared.
All right, folks, I got my nifty camera on. Okay, so welcome to welcome to our building here. This building, what we call Pratt Manhattan Center, it's a former textile manufacturing facility. It was used by companies like Macy's to make underwear. So it was like kind of light textile kind of manufacturing, which took place here, as well as as a lot of the buildings here up on 7th Avenue going up into the garment district. But we moved in here in 2002, and it was got renovated in 2002 before we moved in, and then it got quite a bit of upgrading during COVID. So like this room, it looks pretty new, and that's really because it is pretty new. It got kind of a gut renovation. So a room like this, we don't have our classes are on average 11 to 12 students. So a room like this would only be used for like a large event. So a large lecture event, for example, parties we'll do in here, but our average class sizes are actually pretty small. So, all right, so yeah, so this is more space that was renovated during COVID. And we'll use a space like this for events, and this is a space also you can just kind of hang out in between classes. And here we have, I think, probably what looks like kind of one of our intro courses, Foundations of Information. I knew that was going to happen. Um, it's kind of students in their first semester will typically take that class, but it's kind of like a seminar class, a discussion kind of class. So you can kind of like, they're kind of 15 students is kind of pretty typical, but you kind of can get a, sense of that. On this floor, yeah, it's just some more classrooms are here, but a lot of event space happens here. So maybe we can go ahead and start heading up a little bit. I would say interesting things about this building is that there's an art gallery on the first floor that's run by Pratt, and there's a really great show open right now called it's some pretty well-known artists and how W.E.B. Du Bois influenced them. It is open Monday through it's open I think every day except for Sunday. It closes at 5. But definitely it'd be, if you're in the neighborhood, feel free to drop in and check it out. It's a good show. It's got folks like Carrie Mae Weems and all kinds of folks down there. And we are doing an event in conjunction with it around W.E.B. Du Bois and data visualizations, which who knew, but he was a data visualizer. We're going to be talking with the person who compiled a book about him and his visualizations. So definitely feel free to check it out. It's just closed right now. But yeah, it's a nice show. So I think our next space, we're going to go ahead and skip the third floor, which is primarily occupied by an associate's degree program. Fourth floor, yeah, thank you so much. That would have been my thing. I would have just sat here. So the fourth floor, what's interesting about it is it does have there, but we'll just kind of check out the library. So this space was not renovated during COVID, so it's not quite as nice as the other as the floor we were just on. But what it does have is our library, and so most of the library, Pat, has a library on the Brooklyn campus. This is kind of like a satellite library, and a lot of stuff these days is bought electronically, like journals, ebooks, all that kind of stuff. However, we do also anything that we can't get electronically, we do buy in print. So they are always buying stuff for people. So we can go ahead and check it out. Oh, yeah, hello, Harsh. Did you know I was coming? No. No, you heard me in the hallway, right?
Yes, I. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Harsh, do you want to say something about the library?
Absolutely. I can give like a quick tour, just like
All
how
right.
we have done it in the past.
Okay.
First of all, welcome everyone to Pratt Manhattan Library. My name is Harsh Tagar. I'm one of the managers here. Also an alum of the Library Science program from Pratt, graduated in 2023, December. So now I can give you a quick tour of the library space. So as folks walk in through the gate, they don't need to sign in and they can simply walk into the space and start using this facility. This is our circulation desk, otherwise also known as service desk, and there are two of them. I'm usually situated there. And yeah, library hours are Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Fridays 10 to 6, Saturdays 12 to 5, and Sunday 10 to 6 as well. Now, we'll go around the library, but before we do that, I do want to sort of like bring attention to these mini book displays that our graduate assistants curate, and we tend to change these regularly on monthly basis. And the whole idea of doing these sort of like book displays is to bring attention to books which would otherwise be in stacks. And it's our way of doing that part of like outreach. So yeah, we can go around the library and I'll show you some of the collections and spaces. So On my right, we have our accessibility station and computers, where there's browsers for the internet. And on my left, we have new arrivals. The new arrivals, we have reference collection, and only on the library space, along with current periodicals that we have. As you move further into the library scrolls, you have a small zine collection. There is a passive one at the certain passive graph. And on my right, we have current periodicals. They're all arranged in alphabetical order. And the collection that you see here, whether it be zines, whether it be current periodicals, bound periodicals, books, all of that correlates with the programs that are offered in this building particularly. So Pratt Manhattan programs that would be library science program, UX, UI, data analytics and visualization, construction management, arts, culture management, design management, so on and so forth. As we move further into the library space, we have arts and space area with the window and collecting station. Some of these periodicals do get bounded and they're all arranged in an alphabetical order on. So the ones that you see on the front are the most recent edition. But if you like left the shelf, you will come across the sort of like the older issues of that particular journal. Now we'll take our turn. I will bring mention to course evaluation to the School of Information. After that, we a small DVD selection can be borrowed, 7 loan payment along with DVDs and books. We also then have portable chargers, headphones, mouse, pads, and it's a brain collection. This is case. If these, yes, would be you would bring that's or simply if you question probably about the language that you don't and or the website. And
Okay, Scott, good. It's a good location, right? Because imagine having to bend down.
Our library and urban library during this classification system. So let's say the 000 are the far end, the numbers will be here. And we are continuously updating the signage to make it better for our patrons for the browsability. Hoping to make it in such a manner where you would have like cards and subject areas that would directly correlate with the call numbers that you have in the section here. On my left, we have a scanning station open for everyone to have. Practically, students, you can simply scan given article from one of the periodicals and or a book and email it to yourself. And so this system will then come in handy. Here, there's also a page on the library's website where one can go and reserve this slot. That request would then come to me and my colleague Sana, and then we would then go ahead and approve the request. And again, depending on it's a first come first served basis. But do you want to mention that this room is equipped with projector, speaker, whiteboard, and another charging station and some more computers. This artwork was done by a current colleague of ours who was at one point of time was a graduate assistant and is now an assessment librarian. How many years have Pratt Brooklyn Library? But what she did was she gathered these cards from our catalog and we painted it and sort of like assembled it in a sort of like a colorful manner. To end the tour, I would like to bring attention to the left side to the Empire State Building. And it's super amazing. It's pretty dark out there, but usually I would also mention the two murals done by twin Brazilian artist brothers, Os Genios. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but one can do a quick keyword search on Google and will come across many articles on those two murals. Apparently, there's going to be a new building there, so we'll see after the building is
Not
constructed.
yet though. If you read what it's gonna be, it's supposed to be it's like the backyard for the Mormon church owns that building.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Thank
they
you so
own the,
much for sharing that info.
yeah, yeah. So not yet. I mean, eventually I'm sure it will be a building, but we have a few years, yeah.
Got it. Well, to conclude the tour, I would mention that there is another scanner, a high quality one, let's say, if you want to scan at a very higher DPI, then this machine will come in handy. We have many things to give away: tote bags, buttons, magnets, pins, pronoun pins. They're all at the front service desk. Yeah, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. My name is Harsh Chakara again, thank you so much for stopping by at Pratt Manhattan Library.
Thank you so much, Harsh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. No, thank you, really excellent for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Please stop. Please.
So yeah. And if one is interested in the actually don't mind the business of where we are.
Yes.
And it's
nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Let me hold on. Let me see if I can get some people here. They're getting stuff. They're getting stuff. That's a pretty good thought. All right. Yes. Well, there are, yeah, some rare books. They're all on the Brooklyn campus. Yeah. We do have a, so I didn't want to just also note as we do our term, we do have Melissa here, who's a current student in the museums and digital culture.
There's not many of us.
There's- So we're gonna skip 5. So there's a lot.
It's like a printer station. You
Yeah.
wanna send in your documents that you need to print out, you can go there. Yeah.
Take this there. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, it's quite dark.
It's okay. All right. We just
And then we have the rest of the guy.
all right. Oh Lord, I'm gonna close these doors. Okay, close it. So I'm just protecting the windows. All right, folks. So we're here on the 6th floor in Hammond Center. This is kind of the hub of the school. A lot of our classes take place here. This area we call the info lounge, which is kind of like a place to get a little work done. This building is open till 1 a.m. every night, so you could always come here and get work done, get away from your annoying roommate, like it's here. It's open to 11 p.m. on the weekend. On a night like this, so it's 6:30 night, and we have a lot of classes going on right now. So for example, down the hall here, I believe is our digital analytics class. So we have this wonderful person from the NASDAQ who teaches that course. Down over here we have Anthony Conta. He's at Meta. He's a senior UX designer at Meta, and he's teaching I believe digital product design. Super popular class. But you can kind of see size wise, it's like about 15 students. Um, other kinds of stuff we have going on tonight. Um, we have a course in here on data librarianship. We have Vicky Ramping teaching that. Vicky is a data librarian at NYU. So there's lots of cool techie stuff with the NYU libraries. So we have a pretty busy, we have a management of archives class going on here right now with Professor Kathy Carbone. In a course like this, there's both practical archival stuff going on as well as kind of archival theory that goes on. Then over here we have some the usability class going on. And this is with Professor Madhav Tonka. He's a UX usability person at the Museum of Modern Art. So he's been teaching that for a good number of years. But yeah, it also kind of all up and down the space, you're going to see like flyers for events. So there's courses, but then there's also like just events and workshops that take place. So for example, we have this like faculty speakeasy series, which is like faculty just talking about how they ended up in their place in life and how they got to where they are, which could be inspiring to some folks. We also do like we have a workshop on automotive UX that's coming up. This is like for the UX designers, and we have a course on automotive UX, but we're bringing in a person from Michigan, from Detroit, who's gonna take folks through some actual design using Figma. So yeah, so definitely like we do have a little merging kind of activity around automotive stuff. Um, but yeah, so let's we can head down this way. And feel free as we go on this tour, if you have any questions that are coming up, feel free to ask. I'd say a lot of student work. We do an annual showcase of student work in May, which is students can present posters and presentations. So some of this is from classes, some of this is from that annual showcase of student work. So it's pretty pretty good. Um, it's kind of so this room I thought we would just drop in. This is kind of a room that was it's kind of part of our usability lab, but it has also kind of become a bit of a wellness space. The big thing that makes us we put a massage chair in here. So yeah, so like often I come in the morning, I find the massage chair still reclined, and I find the lava lamp on. So I'm going to turn this off because it gets pretty hot. But yeah, it's what's great about it is this is a space that is generally not booked for classes, so students can just you can just book this space, and then like you want a massage, go for it. You want to do some group work, you can do that as well. I don't know what's going on with this TV. I'm just gonna driving me crazy. Oh, there. I always try to keep the TVs on because if you don't keep them on, people can't figure out how to get them on. All right, so yeah, so good place for a massage. So lots of student projects from info show you can find on the walls. So back here we have like a class that's kind of if you're doing more of like computer stuff, like more computer programming, we have class going on back there. Let me see. So yeah, I think So I don't think I mentioned this, but every student gets a full-time faculty as their advisor. And so you could come and talk to your advisor about your interests and your career goals and how the programs and the curriculum can help support that. So a lot of our faculty have offices down here. So they all keep office hours, and so you can visit them during office hours or appointments, in person, online. They're pretty flexible. But yeah, so you can find a lot of them down here. More faculty down there, more faculty in here. Yeah, this gives a sense of where the students from the School of Information are from. This was a little thing we did during orientation. So you can kind of see, we have a lot of people from North America, but we also have a smattering from South America, smattering from Africa, Europe, and Asia. So it's a pretty international and domestic. It's like a real mix of both domestic and international. I'd say international, China and India tend to be our biggest countries, but you also do have people from other places as well. This we call our this is our UX lab. Is another space that students can book to do studies. So you can bring in your test subjects in here. You can do eye tracking studies. You can do all kinds of studies, and it's easy for students to they can just book it and use it. Um, Down here we have stuff on our faculty, like some of our faculty publications. As I mentioned, all of our faculty are researchers, so they're writing books, they're writing journal articles. You can see the kind of stuff that they're up to just by looking at this wall. And yeah, we're into Halloween, as you can see. So we have Halloween candy through the entire month of October, which is always fun. I will say one thing that's interesting is this board here. So this is we do have 5 student chapters of national organizations, and these are basically students get together, they form a club, and they do stuff that helps them do stuff that they want to do that maybe they're not doing in classes that they want to do. Um, so for example, they will do um, field trips. Like so the Palo group, for example, just did a trip to the Beinecke Library at Yale University, just a day trip. Super smart idea, I thought, because New Haven is like it's a day trip, you know, but it's not a, it's a great place to visit. It's a top, one of the top rare book libraries in the world, in the country for sure. But then, just other events, tours, going on tours of the Bronx County Historical Society or the NYPL Library Services Center, or we have panels and workshops. And so it's basically the student clubs provide a way for students to just like come together and do something they want to do. And, you know, immigration, libraries, and archives, so a panel, so doing panels. And the great thing about the student clubs is they're funded by Pratt, right? So you form a club and then you can, you can, pay your speakers. You're not like begging people to come and talk there, you can pay them. So yeah, so that's kind of an interesting thing. I would say, we also like while a lot of the stuff we do is kind of academic, we also do just things that are just kind of fun out there. So like we'll do like a holiday party, or we'll do like, we're doing a haunted Manhattan walking tour. Like there's nothing academic about this haunted Manhattan. This is just like community building. Sometimes it's just like just community, make friends. Like we're not going to read a book. We're not going to, it's like, it's just fun, right? So we try to do a mix of things that are like serious academic events, but also like things that you don't need to like do homework for. Um, yeah, so that is pretty much the 6th floor. So I think we're gonna hit one more floor. Do folks feel comfortable using the stairs? Yeah, okay, let's hit the stairs. All right, ooh, we do sorry. Um, All right, folks. So this is the last floor we're going to visit. This is the seventh floor, and this is what we call kind of like the Pratt Manhattan Student Union. It was a space that was renovated during COVID, so it looks pretty new. But it is a space where, you know, obviously students can just like do their stuff. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but that is really, it is trusting. Trusting. Sorry. And Yeah, and it's just, you know, it's just a place to get, you know, do some work, hang out. There's food back there, so there's like a farmer's fridge, some soda, you know, whatever, just kind of basic stuff. There's a grocery store across the street, which a lot of people use as well. But what's interesting about this space is there's also these student services offices in the back. So this is going to be like any kind of service that's like not a professor. They have offices up here. So like health, counseling, financial services, you know, kind of career development people. They kind of all come up here. They're not necessarily here every day, but they will rotate in throughout the week, and they have a schedule of when they're here. But it's kind of it's useful, you know, just if it's like pretty much we have a lot of other services beyond the professors, and they pretty much have offices up here. There's a bunch of classrooms up here too, up that hallway and back that way. But yeah, that is pretty much the space. So I think that pretty much does conclude our tour at Pratt Manhattan Center. I hope you've enjoyed your tour. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom. Thank you.